Hey YouTube family, it's your brother Bendigo and my beautiful wife.
Aaron.
We are here just to have a conversation about, how we met, how, it led into marriage, things we've been through in marriage and whatnot. Just gonna have a casual conversation. A lot of you guys have been asking some questions, so I'm going to just break the ice right now and let y'all know how we met, and that was through Instagram. Shout out to social media. So I'm gonna allow my wife to go ahead and just like talk about that a little bit, with the whole social media thing of how we really started talking and who really initiated it and whatnot. So go ahead.
I can't even remember the details. I just remember I followed you on Instagram in 2019, and then I didn't really think much of it. I found you through a minister's page that I was following. So it was like pretty much centered around Christ. My um, pastor's wife at the time recommended somebody for me to follow, a certain minister that you were also following. You were connected to this minister. And I found you through that minister's page. But at the time, you were not involved into ministry. You were just like
Playing pro ball.
you were just like a basketball player. You look like a young person. And at that time, for me specifically, I was following a lot of like Christians on social media because I was trying to find like other like-minded people. And I followed him because he had like prophet in his bio with like an eagle emoji next to it. And like I look at his page and it's like he's like basketball player posting like fit pics and stuff. And I'm like, okay, this guy like it looks like he's trying to like walk into his calling. And like that was like where I was at the time. I was like, yeah, like I'm trying to like really walk out my calling and connect with like other people who are also prophetic, because like I was connected to like a prophetic company, and like I was like trying to find like, and so that's how we got connected.
Now, and I remember too the day like you followed me. In my
Yeah.
head, I was like, "Yo, who is this?" You know what I mean? I was like, "Who is this?" I
That's
think I
true.
messaged you. Who messaged who first?
I didn't message you.
I think I messaged you first, right?
I don't know. I
Or
can't.
you were spam liking me or something. But I think
Was I?
maybe I messaged you first when you followed me. I was like,
Mm.
"Yo, this girl is so beautiful." And
You messaged me right away, did you? I feel like it must have been like a few days.
it might have been a few
Oh,
days.
you know what? I remember like what happened. I remember I was speaking at Seattle Christian
I
University,
responded to your story.
and my pastor at the time. He was also like a university teacher at a Christian university, and so he invited me to come speak to the students. And so I was speaking that day, and he like swiped up on my story because I was like sharing something on my story, and I think he put like a fire emoji or something like that.
Were you speaking in the classroom?
Yeah.
And you were in all black, right?
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
remember. Nah, you were in all black. I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
I think I was just waiting for an opportunity to message you. And I think the biggest thing that stood out for me was like, yo, you were like a Christian,
Yeah.
right? You were a Christian, and you were professing it and whatnot. And you're around my age. You were cool and whatnot. And now you were cool because I saw what's crazy though, guys. My wife was into like she was into like modeling, right?
Well, at the time, I wasn't. I was just a university student. I
Well,
wasn't
well,
modeling.
well. If we fast forward a little bit in the pandemic, you got into modeling,
Yeah,
right?
later on. But when you followed me, I was working in television at the time,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
so
Working in
I
television.
was doing stuff like in front of a camera, and like my social media was used for the TV station I was working for, promoting that as well,
Yeah,
and also, um, I used it for like talking about Jesus, talking about God, and stuff like that.
yeah. And I think what's we didn't actually talk that much like back in 2019 until
Yeah,
like the pandemic hit.
yeah,
We had our own stuff going on. I was playing pro ball. You were still in school, and we talked maybe here and there, very very minimal. But once the pandemic hit, I think that's when we really started talking because everything actually slowed down. And
yeah.
I think that's how we really started to really get to know each other. But do you remember the what we used to talk about like in the beginning? Wasn't about God really, it was about like what?
What?
Like
What, like conspiracy theories?
conspiracy stuff,
Was it
right?
really?
Yeah, it was like Trump and like Kamala
Well,
Harris
it
stuff.
was like very political at the time. Like there was a lot going on. Of course, when you're in university, everything is about politics and they're trying to brainwash you.
No facts.
And so I was very into what was going on. There was a lot of protests going on, Black Lives Matter movement, stuff of that nature. And so I think at the time we were just talking, like relating about different things, but then like my eyes were slowly being opened and like the veil was like coming off of me, but I was still very like
Yeah.
liberal at the time.
Now the reason I brought that up is because like I remember when I was like messaging you about that stuff, and I was like, yo, like she gets me, she understands the stuff about
Oh
conspiracy
yeah.
and stuff like that. So that was the
Yeah.
first thing where I was like, man, she's a Christian, and she talks about conspiracy theory stuff, and like we were talking about prophecy and all those things, and that's when we were just like friends. You know what I mean? That's when we were just like friends.
Oh yeah, we were talking about like Kobe Bryant and like how his passing. I remember
Yeah.
messaging you about this. I was like, "Yo, Kobe Bryant and like the Black Mamba snake." I was like, "Does this sound crazy to you?" And I was like trying to tell you something about that, and you were like,
Mm,
"No, totally makes sense." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "You're the only person I can talk to about this because all
no,
my other friends would think I'm crazy."
not fact. And you were literally the only person I could really talk to about that too, because I didn't grow up in a
Yeah.
Christian community, or grow up with Christian friends. But I think the thing that really allowed me to connect with you was like the pandemic. I don't think we'd be here at this
Yeah.
point, married, if it wasn't the pandemic.
Pandemic, we really started talking a lot
Yeah,
online because like you couldn't hang out with anybody in person.
couldn't.
So everybody, all of my friendships, we were all like FaceTiming and
Mm,
stuff like that. I moved back into my parents' house and you were at
my
your
dad's.
dad's house.
And yeah, and also like you introduced me to like an app.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Introduced to an app, and we were still friends here, not flirting with each other or anything like that, just talking about prophetic stuff. You introduced me to an app called
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse,
Yeah.
right? A lot of false prophets there, by the way, but it was a
Yeah.
great community with
But
like,
that was like right in the beginning. So Clubhouse was like in like a beta testing mode. And so I had known somebody from down in Los Angeles who was a part of like the very beginning of this app. And at the time you had to get an invite to get into the app. And so I was like driving to work. I was working as like a nanny at this time. I was driving to work one day and you randomly popped into my head. I'm like, I was like listening to worship music, praying. I was like, okay, this must be the Holy Spirit. And then I was like, okay. So I sent you, I think I only had 2 invites to the app.
mm,
So I sent you the invite to the app. I remember this was like, I remember hitting you up and I was like, hey, um, I was like, I know you're a prophet. You should get on this app because I don't see a lot of Christians on there. And I think it'd be a great way for you to like preach the gospel.
mm.
And that's kind of like how our pandemic friendship started.
Exactly. And it kicked off from there. And she was always pushing me. She was like, "Yo, you should do rooms. You should do this. You should do that." And I think we did our own room before,
Did we?
or we joined a room.
Well, I did like
I got
testimony
invited to
nights.
rooms.
I did like testimony nights, and so like I had like a testimony thing, and like I remember bringing you up, and you were
Mm.
like going hard.
No, I
You
was.
were going
I
hard
was going hard.
with the Bible verses and everything, and like I was like, oh snap, like
Yeah.
okay,
And there was as that progressed, there was also like an Instagram live we did that we won't show, that you're just like, you look back and you're like,
yeah,
oh my gosh. And we did that live, I remember,
we
publicly,
did that live, yeah.
right, on
That was
Instagram.
like my first time like seeing like FaceTiming. Like we never FaceTimed.
Ever.
But, like, we were, like, talking through this audio app, and so, like, we got onto the live together. That was our first time kinda communicating through, like, FaceTime
Yeah, first time ever.
FaceTime.
I remember even like in 2019 when you gave me your number, and then you're like, hey, we should FaceTime. I was so nervous.
Really?
Yeah, I was so nervous. I was like,
Mm.
because I had your number, and I was like, I just never called you. I just
Yeah.
never FaceTime you. I was like, I cannot do this. You know what I mean? 'Cause I don't know what was like making me super like, shy or scared, but I didn't FaceTime you. You know what I
That's
mean?
so funny. Yeah.
And then the first time we ever do it is like the first time we ever see each other is literally Instagram live, and we had a great
Yeah.
conversation talking about God. But now
Yeah.
we look back, it was definitely not like a lukewarm conversation, but it was more so like anyone could uh, like hear it. Anyone who was living in sin could hear it and be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is so amazing! It's encouraged me in my walk." You know what I mean? But it was definitely it was definitely a
And
great
what was the
conversation.
title of it?
You named it.
No, I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No.
I think it was like God is the source or something like that.
Yeah, that was God is the source. And I remember seeing all these people in
Yeah.
the comments, and it actually got a good, response, because a lot of people were messaging me and they're like, yo, you guys are this. Oh my gosh, I'm so
Yeah,
proud.
same
This, that, this,
here.
that. They're like, who's this girl? Who's that? You know what I mean? And it was just, I think at that moment, I was like, I turned it off. I was like, I was super happy. Because in
Really?
my life, it's like, let's keep it real. Like, I didn't, I've never been in a scenario or situation where I can talk to another woman about God, like talk to her about conspiracy theories, Jesus, deliverance, do a live
Yeah.
stream with them. And he
Yeah.
was like literally my friend and
Yeah.
my first real, female friend that's like a Christian in my life. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And it's crazy because we were still just cool.
Yeah, yeah.
We were cool. But let them know how things took. It went from that to like, hey, I'm interested in you.
Well, there's a lot that goes in between the clubhouse and us kind of starting talking more to that because I think it really progressed like later on because first I went through deliverance with Abednego and that was more so just based off of like you're my friend and so I'm gonna pray for you.
No, I no, but even before I think it was I went to Prophet Martin's house randomly, right? That's before I ever prayed for you.
Oh, but that was in August, right? That was in the summertime.
Oh.
I can't remember the timeline. I need to pull up the screenshot.
I think that was before I prayed deliverance over you.
Prophet Martin.
Yeah, when I went there.
Cause like when we were like talking and whatnot, like honestly, I didn't even think about Prophet Martin. Oh, you know what? That was before.
It was
That was
before.
before.
It was
That was
before.
before we started really becoming friends.
Exactly, because I remember so listen to
And
this.
you told me before we started like really talking.
Exactly.
Cause like I had just graduated from college, June. You hit me up in August and you
Yeah.
were like, I just went to this prophet's house.
Yeah. So let me tell you the story. So like there's this prophet named Prophet Martin Brown.
Shout out to Prophet Martin Brown and Melissa.
So I went there and he starts prophesying to me. I just came out of a chaotic relationship. He starts prophesying to me, right, about my future wife.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, I'm listening to him, but I'm just like, no. He's like, when the first time he's saying a lot of stuff, but he's like, when you meet your wife, you start talking to your wife, she's gonna be at the age of 23. When I started talking to her, I believe you're the age of 23. You know what I mean? And he started saying that she was gonna be light skinned, like fair skinned, like she is, and she's gonna be slim and whatnot, and her hair. And he literally,
Oh my god, sorry.
he literally,
He described me like to a T.
to a T.
He described my race, he described my height, like he described my hair, my eyes, like it was some crazy stuff,
Yeah,
right?
and he was like edifying me, and he was praying for me and whatnot. And I didn't really, I'm not gonna say I didn't believe it, but I was just like, I was such in a hard time in my season that it was like whatever. And I remember I
Yeah.
went home, and I was driving. I came out the house, and I was like, "Yo, I just got a prophetic word, that I'm gonna talk to a light skinned."
Okay, but did you message that to anybody else or was it just me?
No, it was just you.
Was I the only one that came to your
You
mind?
were the only light skinned woman I was talking to that was Christian, that was 23. So
That is so
with the
funny.
details that you gave me, I was like, this
Did you think
guy
about me right away or no?
right away. Because
So
it was
when he said it, you were thinking about me.
100%.
That is so weird because we had never really talked like
Yeah,
that. We just followed each
we
other on
weren't talking,
social
and
media.
that's why I messaged you, and I was like, yo, I think I commented on your photo, right? I didn't text
Oh,
you,
you did. Yeah, you were like, "Oh, I just got a nice prophetic
and
word."
I made sure I scrolled down, like a photo
Really?
was like a
Yeah, you
year ago.
commented on like an old
Oh,
photo.
photo. I just got a prophetic word, and you screenshotted it. I wanted you to see it,
I did
and
screenshot
I
it.
was in my mind. I was hoping that I was like hoping if it's gonna be anyone, I was hoping it was gonna be you, even though it was never on my mind. But that encounter I had with him,
That is
it
so
like
funny.
provoked the idea of you. That's how it really
Yeah,
started. That's how the idea of you
that is
started.
so
Because before
funny.
we were just like cool and talking and whatnot,
Yeah.
and then he was like, and then it progressed from there where he started talking about how like he's like, yo, the Lord is telling me right now, that, she's gonna want to have 3 kids. He
Three
asked me, how
kids.
many kids do you want? And I said, three. And then she's like, and he told me that I'd want 3 and how Aaron would also want 3, right?
Yeah,
And then so I called Aaron on the phone. I was texting you at the same time,
yeah, I remember
and then it was
this.
exactly 3. You know
He
what
was
I
like, in Jesus' name, I'm holding up 3 right now.
Yeah,
I
you
remember.
know what I mean? And
I
his
remember
and
that.
we did not it's crazy because we didn't start talking because of a prophetic word, because even after that time, it's not like we were like, oh my
No, I
gosh,
actually totally forgot about that.
exactly,
I totally forgot about that, and our friendship just kind of naturally happened.
naturally. And then we just started
Yeah.
doing more like, there was a time where she, she started telling me about her dreams, and then she
Yeah.
reached out to me for deliverance, and I was like, okay, I'll do it.
But I was like going through my own process too at the same time.
Yeah,
Because I
100%.
was like trying to get deliverance from like my pastors and then other people. And I didn't even really know Abednego like knew about deliverance or like anything like that, right? But I happened to just tell you, we just started talking because like it's just part of the prophetic. And you were really the one that convinced me to like let you pray for me.
Mhm.
And then the whole thing happened. And like I
Yeah,
went to my pastor and then you talked to my pastor and they like they okayed it. And yeah, that just shows that like we were really just we were friends, but because it was like deliverance, it was more so like, okay, now I gotta get my pastor involved
yeah,
because they were like very I have a very close relationship with my pastors.
yeah. And we ended up doing the deliverance.
Yeah.
You were telling me about your dreams and whatnot. There were
Yeah.
crazy Marine Kingdom dreams and encounters, and
Yeah.
I knew how serious it was because of her dreams, and because I've encountered those things too before, and I
Yeah.
just remember through FaceTime, the first time I ever prayed for her,
Yeah.
we stopped like 10 seconds in, and we were like, "Whoa!" And
What?
she's like, "The anointing on your life is crazy."
No, but it was crazy that like I don't think many people at the time were doing deliverance like through FaceTime or like through Zoom.
Yeah,
Like that was like a pandemic thing that happened to
facts.
where like ministers started like realizing like, oh wait, we can cast out demons through live. We can cast out demons through Zoom. And so this was like that type of thing where I was like, okay, like God is so powerful that we can be on FaceTime and you can literally cast demons
Yeah.
out of me.
People are probably still doing deliverance, before online before that, but it became like a big thing
In the
in
pandemic,
the
yeah.
pandemic,
Yeah.
right? And I just remember praying deliverance over you, and then going through deliverance, and it was wild. You know what
And
I
then
mean?
I, like, wanted him to do deliverance on, like, all my friends.
Yeah, and
Like,
we did. We
I
called
was
we called your friends,
like, every single one of my friends
bringing them through
and my
deliverance,
boss, like
and her boss, yeah,
and my
bringing her
boss.
boss through deliverance, boss.
I was, like, telling everybody, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, like, this, like, really this encounter really changed my life, the way that God used Abednego in deliverance and, like, just praying for me, discipling me in the beginning, like, walking me through, like, really my, like, sanctification process. That was really life changing for me because I wanted to go tell everybody in my life, and everybody knew like, okay, Aaron is like way different
Yeah,
now.
because like deliverance changes it changes your
It
perspective.
does,
Because like when
yeah.
you go and you start manifesting, coughing, going through deliverance, it makes you want to be more serious about like your walk
Your
with
walk
God.
with God,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because you see the spiritual side of it and like the
Yeah.
consequences and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think that was when like my veil was lifted.
Yes.
When I was like out of darkness completely and like I was aware of like the enemy's tactics and I was no longer like spiritually blind. I think I was just very ignorant to a lot of things.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like a lukewarm Christian, double-minded back and forth, but then that was like really the time where I was like I saw so much fruit in my repentance starting with really like that time of my life when I was like really seeking out to my pastors being like I need help, I need deliverance, I want to like, make changes.
Yeah. And and from there, we started doing Bible studies. And no, no, no. What happened was after that deliverance session, I think I brought you through another deliverance that was like 2 hours. And you're like, "Are you done yet?" And
Wait, when?
I was in the basement. I was praying for
Oh
you,
yeah.
and like it was so long. And the reason I was doing it is because like
Mm.
in my mind, I was like, "Yo," I think at that point internally, I was like, I really want to be with her, so I want to get her free. So we were there for like 2 hours. I was praying for you, and then we did like a little Bible study the next day,
Yeah.
and then it was great. The Bible study was really good,
And then we
and
were like trying to make like a Facebook group Bible study. Remember
yeah, yeah,
that?
we were. It didn't take off. It
Yeah,
didn't
it
go
didn't.
anywhere. But we try to do all these things and
Yeah.
whatnot, and take in mind we're still friends.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We are still friends. And I think we got so close at that point. We were talking so much, like all the time. And then the people want to know who expressed their feelings first.
Oh gosh.
Actually, no. I
Huh.
did message her and I said, one day you're gonna be my future wife.
When was that?
Um,
That was like the very
the beginning,
beginning.
but I
But
missed that
that was
part.
like kind of like a joke though.
Yeah, it was kind of like a joke. Yeah, I would say internally for myself, it was definitely a joke because number one, I didn't have a passport, so you're living in the
Yeah.
USA. It was not realistic. So I was like, one day you're gonna be my future wife. Because obviously when I saw you, I'm like, yo, she's beautiful, she's this, she's that. But I was like, one day, you're gonna be my future wife. Not
Mhm.
knowing it's actually gonna come to pass. It's not
I
like
know.
God spoke to me and it's like a prophetic word. But I was like, one day you're gonna be my future wife. And it's crazy that it actually came to be. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm so tired, guys.
It's crazy how it actually came to pass. But yeah, the first person that expressed their feelings in
Who
a
was
serious way,
it?
yeah.
I think it was you.
No, it was definitely you.
Was it me?
It was definitely you.
I cannot remember.
It
You're
was
gonna have to
definitely you.
remind
It was
me.
definitely you because I remember like you were giving me like hints.
Was I?
You were giving me hints, and then you're like, oh,
Oh
you're not taking the
gosh.
hints and stuff like that and whatnot.
What?
No, definitely, 100%. You're
I
definitely.
don't remember this.
I 100% remember that. You know what I mean? Because it was because we were talking so much, right? We were talking
Yeah.
so much and whatnot, and I remember it clear as day when you were like, basically, you're like, yo, like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Well, I think you were very like also like giving me compliments all the time and just saying things that like, okay, he's like flirting with me.
Mhm. No, I
And
was.
it's more so as a woman, it's like you're getting like mixed signals, and you're like, is this like a brother in Christ, or is this like, what is this,
No,
sort of thing?
100%.
Because it's weird when you're like over the phone. It's a
Mhm.
different. I think in person is like
And
way
we
different.
were talking all the time too. There was times we were talking on the phone
Yeah.
about God to like 6 a.m.
Yeah. No, like, and at this time, like, it was just crazy for me. Like, I was like experiencing so many like spiritual things, like as far as like dreams, and like my eyes were just opened, and like I was like on fire, like crazy for Jesus. And like we were talking about God like all the time,
All the
all
time.
the
Yeah.
time, all the time, talking about God, prophecy, talking about like our future and like our callings and just all this stuff. And like just it was just a lot at that time.
No, yeah, 100%. And honestly, when she expressed her feelings, it wasn't like I didn't have feelings for her. I 100% did.
Now, I already know you did. I just was like, probably like,
I think I was
are
just
you gonna tell me?
I think I was just being like super like reserved. And one of the fears I had though was
Mhm.
that I would never actually see you because like
Okay, yeah.
I didn't have a passport and it was like the
Yeah.
borders were closed. So
Borders were
I didn't
closed.
want to get into something and be like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna meet
I'm
this
never
girl.
gonna meet
You
you.
know what I mean? But it's like when we
Yeah.
started like really when we made the commitment to really, pray about a connection, because that's the first thing we did, is that before we even started like really like dating, we started praying about our connection.
Mhm.
Right? We would fast together,
Mhm.
we would, do everything together, pray together, and then randomly, we were just like, okay, we're gonna commit to this and pray that
Yeah.
that the borders are gonna open.
Yeah.
And guess what?
They opened.
It opened in like
Oh my God.
it opened in like August, and then we got on. Then I booked a flight for you to come, and then we met for the first time.
Yeah. I remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
We met for the first time, and then I remember when I met her. I remember the day before at night. I did not sleep.
Really?
I did not sleep. I cleaned my car out. I was like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that car was so nice.
I cleaned.
You had like a water bottle in there. It looked like I stepped into a rental. There's
Yeah, I
like
had everything.
water bottle. Like you just had it all like set up so nice.
Yeah, and it was such a surreal moment for me, to meet someone, number one, that was like your best friend,
Yeah.
and then now someone who you're not in a relationship with.
Mhm.
And then from there, what did we do? 3 months later,
Got
we
engaged.
got engaged.
Yeah.
Right? Super, super
It
quick,
was very quick.
got engaged, and then 3 months later again, October, wait, November, December, January, February, March. So 5 months later,
Yeah.
we got married.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
It was quick.
Five
Oh my
months
gosh.
5 months
Yeah.
later 5 months later we got married.
Yeah.
And that's really how we met, and that's how it really, because you know we were super intentional, because I don't personally believe that, you know, I don't believe in, being engaged for 4 years, 3 years, 2 years,
Yeah.
or dating for 10 years. I believe that if you are, ready, if you are praying with each other, I believe you should pray and fast before you get married. I believe you should pray and fast before you get into a
Yeah.
relationship,
We
before you
were
start
so
dating.
serious.
Yeah. Even
I
before.
think it went straight to like courting,
Mhm,
because it's like we initially had to meet in person to like see if like to just like be like, okay, is this compatible in person?
mhm,
Like sort of thing.
yeah.
And like I remember like we were at some place, we're at like the the outlet
Yeah.
mall. And then like my pastor like wanted to call us, right? And
I
he was
remember.
like, we were on FaceTime with him and he was like, so like, what do you think?
Yeah, and I was like,
Like, what do you guys think? Like, what do you think of each other? And they knew like how serious it was. It's like you're meeting like your potential spouse. And so that's what it was for us. Like if we had met that initial time and felt like, oh, I'm not attracted to this person in person the way I am through the phone, we probably wouldn't have seen each other ever again.
yeah, definitely.
And that's kind of like how serious it was as far as like the courtship that we were in. Like we had like my obviously my parents knew. Um, my parents were very involved and my pastors were very involved in
Mhm,
like the process of us like coming together, meeting in person. And like there were like other people that were in our lives that were like invested in the whole like
mhm,
like
yes,
we weren't just like secretively meeting up
yeah.
or like
And
anything like
I
that.
think something that allowed us to really work out was, when we started really praying and
Yeah.
fasting
Yeah.
about our connection, we started having dreams. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
started having dreams and whatnot,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, man, and we were super intentional because, listen, our relationship, for in order for it to work out, we had to have a lot of money. We had to spend a
Yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah.
She was working two jobs, and we'd fly. We'd book a flight together, split it 50-50, and we'll split a hotel for 50-50. And she would
Yeah.
come out for like 7 days every month,
Yeah.
because it
We were
was
trying to be like intentional.
yeah, and we were spending a lot of
A lot
money.
of money.
And when she was here, she was working a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was working two jobs, and I don't know if I was working at that time. Was I working?
Well, during the pandemic, there was a time when like your job shut down.
Oh yeah, my job shut down, so I was actually jobless. But you know, I would, for the guys out there, those who are the men out there that are looking, trying to pursue a woman, I would say, even before you start dating her, you got to really. This goes for men and women. You got to really, know what you want and know what they want. You got to have that transparent conversation. You got to put Jesus at the forefront, at the center,
Yeah.
and you got to be intentional. I
Yeah.
would recommend, praying with each other,
Yeah.
fasting with each other. What we used to do, we used to watch movies at night together, be on the phone and watching the same movie.
Yeah, I
You know what I
remember.
mean? YouTube
And like
videos.
reading books
Yeah,
together.
reading books
Yeah.
and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We'd order the same book on Amazon, I believe,
Yeah.
and then we would do it, and we'll talk all night. And I think
Yeah.
that's what really built the connection.
Yeah, we had so like we had just the same interests. Like we both love working out, we both love Jesus, obviously. We both love reading, we both love conspiracies. So it's just like it's good to be like really good friends with the person that you are pursuing and making sure that you have more in common with them. They could be a great candidate, they could be a man of God or a woman of God, but are you able to like really talk to this person and like do things that you guys both enjoy? Do you have similarities? And are you able to have a strong like friendship with that person? And those are all things that in the beginning I was like, okay, I can really be like best friends with this person. And I think that's how we became best friends so fast because like I said, like it very quickly turned to where like Abednego was like the only person in my life that I could really talk to about what I was going through. And he wouldn't think I was crazy because
Hmm.
I was like having dreams, I was having visions, I was having like encounters at night, and I was having just crazy like dreams and just experiences that somebody that was not like walking with me in the same like path would understand. My other friends at the time, they didn't understand.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely that's the exact same thing with me. So I was like,
Yeah.
with you, it was like bingo. And I'm gonna say this, the Bible says, "He that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." And I don't think I'd be in the position that I am right now in ministry, the favor, everything that God has blessed us with, if I wasn't married to you. Because honestly, I could have been with someone else and strayed, or been double-minded, or my calling destroyed. And being with you, who's a Christian and holds me accountable and helps me to be better every day. It allows me to, it just holds me accountable, because you're like,
Yeah.
yo, you know what I mean? And I think it's so important to have the right person in your life that can pray for you, hold you accountable, and someone you really love, where you will do everything in the world, even if you live in 2 different countries, to make it work. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Prayer, fast, bring them through deliverance, everything, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
that's really our story of how we met. And then everything happened really quick, and then we ended up having a son. Was not planned.
No.
We were transitioning into moving into a new place, and then he got pregnant at my dad's.
That's
Totally was
a
not
whole
planned.
nother
That's a
testimony.
whole
Because
different just
oh
video.
gosh, I didn't even have health care. I had to go
Nothing.
back to
We were paying
Seattle.
out of pocket for all
Yeah.
these
Oh
appointments. It
gosh.
was just
That'll be another
crazy.
video, y'all.
Yeah, but praise be to God how
Yeah.
everything worked out. There is hope for long distance relationships. I think it's a fairy tale to say, long distance relationships don't work. You just got to be
Yeah.
intentional. You got to be prayerful. You got to be fasting. You got to be talking all the time, and you got to make it work. Even if you have to work and save money,
Yeah.
you got to try to see each other, whether it's once a month or once every 3 months.
Yeah.
You're going to
Be
make it work.
intentional.
And if it's the will of God, it will work out.
Yeah.
Right? So
100%. Sorry guys, I was so tired and I started yawning. I'm usually asleep.
no, it's all
And I wake up
good.
super early with
Listen,
my baby.
This is a raw conversation right now, so there's going to be no cuts or anything like that. You've seen everything. We just wanted to do something different and really be, real with you guys. You know what I mean? Not scripted or anything like that.
Yeah.
And just breaking the ice and finally do something, because it's been so hard because of our son, sleeping.
You guys, we finally have him in bed at like by 8:30.
Yeah.
So now I feel like we kind of have this time back where we can do stuff. But parenthood, motherhood has been a journey.
Yeah, being super tired and whatnot.
Being tired.
Yeah, no one's worried about the yawns and whatnot. But guys, listen, I pray that this has blessed you. That you guys, have hope for,
Yeah.
your future marriages and, your current marriage or whatever. The steps we made early on has just helped us to understand that we are actually for each other, and we knew that while we were dating, because everything we did in the beginning and while being engaged, that even if we go through hard times within marriage, we already have a solidified foundation, and we already know no matter what we go through, we're gonna stick together. You know what I mean? But yeah, any last words?
I just think if you're interested in somebody, you should always bring it before the Lord. And there is wisdom in a multitude of, what is that verse?
I have no clue.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about.
I'm
Wisdom.
too tired right now.
Wisdom, and let me look it up.
In a multitude of, in a council.
Wisdom in a multitude.
My words are getting jumbled right now. Look up that verse.
Let's see. It says Proverbs 11:14.
Yeah.
Where no wise guidance is, the people falleth, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety.
Bingo. That's the verse I was looking for.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%. All right, guys. I pray this bless you. I pray this was somewhat entertaining and whatnot.
Sorry, that was all over the place.
We kept it real. So anyways, God bless you guys. We're going to come out more with more videos on diverse topics.
Yeah.
A little bit more about
Let us
deliverance.
know actually in the comments what you'd want to see next.
Yeah, we'll talk about deliverance, talk about a lot of different things. Our encounter with deliverance, maybe anything. All right. Anyways, God bless you guys. We love you. Take care in the name of Jesus Christ. Make sure you subscribe and like.